Hello, world. It is time to get amongst it with Golf Subpar, Colt Knost, and Drew Stoltz. Sleazy man, how we living?
Good to be back with you, my brother, after the long weekend, and got to watch a little golf this week. And shout out to our boy Viktor Hovland picking up that second dub, breaking the Puerto Rico curse. Finally, somebody that's won down there gets another win, and big week for him down in Mayakoba.
I don't know how much of a fighter he is, but I know he's a hell of a golfer, and that's our guest this week, Matthew Wolff.
Yeah, man, he is blowing up. It is crazy to see what that class of players with Wolff, Morikawa, and Hovland all coming out at the same time, how quickly they've ascended. They're all three in the top 15 in the world rankings.
Let's say
right
that
now.
real
It's a
quick,
joke.
okay? Yeah, May of 2019, they were all three attending college classes. At least they were enrolled. I'm not sure if they were attending, but they were there.
Loosely.
Now, okay, we're December 2020. Colin Morikawa, Viktor Hovland, and our guest Matthew Wolff are all top 15 in the official World Golf Rankings.
And we all knew these guys were going to be good coming out. Like, there's a lot of hype around them. But if you take a bet, if Vegas had trotted something out, by December 2020, all three will be in the top 15. I mean, it would have been an astronomical number. The how fast they've ascended in the World Golf Rankings is a joke. And I feel like every few months, the hierarchy kind of juggles. You know, it's like, oh, I like Morikawa the most. He just won the PGA. Oh, but Wolff just finished top 5 and back-to-back. Oh, now Hovland won. It's like they keep trying to one-up each other. And we actually got a chance to ask Matthew Wolff about that exact thing in the interview.
Yeah, and it was really cool to sit down with him. We got to play golf the morning of out at Grove 23. And the first thing you and I both noticed was the sound of his iron shots on the driving range. I was like, holy shit, I might be hungover, but this sounds incredible right now.
Yeah, I looked up after a couple of my wedge chunks and heard that driver come out. I was like, okay, yeah. This one's different.
But, you know, he's a guy that came out, he was known for his different-looking golf swing, and now he's known for how freaking good he's playing. I mean, here, his first two majors ever, he finishes 4th and 2nd, makes a name for himself, had a great chance to win the U.S. Open until Bryson DeChambeau kind of ran away. But this kid's got all the tools, man. It was impressive. I had known Matthew, but I'd never, spent a lot of time with him. And playing the day with him out there, we had an absolute blast. The kid's got so much talent, and he is the modern game now. He just absolutely ships it down there. It might not go as straight as a lot of guys, but he normally finds it, and he does some good things with it.
Yeah, and when it is clicking, and we saw some of those drives, I'm like, oh, that's what it looks like every time when he's playing well. I mean, he's going to be a force to be reckoned because he putts it good, too. He does a lot of things good, and he's only going to get better and better. I mean, 2 major starts under his belt, 2 top 5s already. I mean, it ain't taking a whole lot for him to get adjusted. And I love the fact that he's got the weird-looking golf swing, and it's not technically perfect because I think for a long time there, guys were just trying to build swings, and everybody looked cookie-cutter, and you kind of lost these guys like a Matthew Wolff who has something special, but if a teacher would have got his hands on him at age 12, like, nah, dude, this is really weird. We need to change this. You would have never heard from the guy.
In my opinion, I mean, it looks weird going back, but from the top of the backswing to impact, it is pretty much technically perfect, in my opinion. And, you know, I know Brandel Chambly talks about this all the time with, you know, Phil Mickelson, Laura Davies, all these people that had Vijay Singh, all that have crazy long careers with the left heel. Bubba Watson, a lot of hip rotation. This is what Matthew has, and I mean, I think this guy is just going to be a force to be reckoned with for an extremely long time. I don't think this is a short career. I think it's a very, very long career for Matthew.
Yeah, I think there's just too much talent there. He's won on every single level that he's ever been on, and he's already doing it right now on the PGA Tour. I think this guy's here to stay, and I think that, you know, we talked about some of the drives don't go exactly where you're looking. I think that just tightens and tightens and tightens over time as he plays more and gets more maturity. But he's already out there and doing it at the highest level. He's already top 15 in the world. Damn.
Yep, and he's got a great personality. He's a lot of fun to be around. But don't take our word with it. You be the judge. Here's Matthew Wolff on Golf Subpar.
All right, we are in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida at the Old Palm Golf Club. Very excited to be with our next guest. He has finished top 5 in his last 2 major championships. He is the 2019 3M champion, one of the big up-and-comers in the game of golf. Matthew Wolff, what's going on, my man?
What's up? Thanks for having me, guys.
Good to be with you.
Us. By the way, we just got off the golf course. How'd we do?
We rolled them.
Yeah, why don't you walk through that round just a little? Say we use we, Captain.
It's a team, bud.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve Kerr gets a ring just like MJ did, all right?
You're right.
I mean, come on.
All right.
You know? A win's a win, right? And the game was best to next. So, I mean, I had to help out with the high ball every once in a while.
You had to carry that high ball a few times.
Well, I mean, you started off strong. You made that putt on the first hole to tie.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
See,
big putt.
Now that I don't
got that tweet out of the way.
Yes.
Got that
made a birdie.
pesky tweet on 12.
But listen, now that I don't play for a living anymore, it's all about hyping your partner up, you know, being there, giving him confidence.
That is true.
These guys, they got a lot of big golf tournaments coming up. You got to get them ready. It ain't about me anymore.
I almost feel like the reason why you and Rickie didn't play so well is because you might have honestly outshined him a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
See,
elaborate on that because that tends to happen with my partners.
Cole was great. Yeah,
you're a bad teammate. Yeah. They're getting ready for the Masters, trying to get them some confidence. You're going out there trying to beat your own partner.
Yeah, I want the ball at all times. Tough. There's not a lot to go around. I'm not a big distributor. After that 18 though today, got to think
watching us two slappies slap it around for 18 holes. Pretty good way to prep for some upcoming pretty big tournaments.
Oh yeah, I mean it was unbelievable. You know, seeing the shots that you guys hit just you know gives me a lot more confidence in that. You know, I thought I'm playing a lot better than I thought it was.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
You can see why we both quit, right?
Holy shit, I am really good. Sometimes I forget how good I am until you get around guys like us. That's what we're here for. So if it works out, we'll come back in.
You made a couple good putts though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like I said, you're better than I thought.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
You look terrible, so you're better than I
Yeah,
thought.
I show up on the range like, oh Jesus.
Awesome. Well, let's go back to some. I mean, you're obviously very, very young, but let's go back to some of the earlier days. You've got one of the most well-known golf instructors in the world, in George Gankas. Take us through the first time you met him. At 13 years old, I believe.
Yeah, I was 13. I was he coaches at Westlake Golf Course, and I went to high school at Westlake High School. So I really didn't meet him until I went to high school, and then I started practicing there, hitting balls, and I had kind of the same swing that I have now. You know, maybe just a little different. You know, I kind of went up to him because a bunch of people that I knew were going to him, and they're all like, George the best coach, all this stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll see what he's like. Mm-hmm. And I go up to him and I meet him and I'm like, "Are you George Gankas?" And he goes, he's like, "Yeah, fool, that's me." Like,
yeah, fool.
You know what I mean? Like he's just being George.
Son.
Yeah. And then and I just like talked to him for a little bit. He was in the middle of giving a lesson, and I just start hitting next to him like on the mat, and he like turns and looks at me. He goes, "Like, are you for real?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Do you actually swing like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my swing." And at first he was like, "That's kind of weird." And then like I started hitting for a little longer, and he actually saw me like, have a ball pattern and stuff. And he was like, "Dude, that's so sick." He goes, "I've never seen anyone swing like that," but he loved it. And he went through all of it with me and was just like, "Dude, like you're the places or the positions that you like need to be good in, you're really good in." And I was like, yeah. And I was kind of looking for a coach at the time. And, one of the first things I laid out with him was, I don't want anyone changing my swing. I just kind of want to do my thing. And, if you can improve it, like there's things that you can improve in the swing without like changing like the feel that I have. And, ever since then, it's kind of been set in stone. He's been great. And he kind of, I was going to say I'm pretty childish, but he keeps me looking like a 50-year-old.
I want to talk about some of the language y'all use. I mean, is this a secret language y'all? Because some of these words, I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. Like some of the stuff y'all said, I'd love for you if you could say a few of them and explain to me what in the hell they mean.
They're not, they mean anything that you want them to mean.
Perfect.
Really. Like, you just like Scooby's one of them. Like you could be like, "Hey, I'm going to get like some Scooby snacks," or like, "What up, Scooby?" Like describing someone. Like, and then there's like, Slongdow, Scooshy, like any.
Yeah, what's the Squamdow? I had a few of these written down. I wanted some like definitions. Give me a Squamdow if you can use that in a sentence, maybe.
Like you just like, it's almost like a joke to him. It's like he'll look at someone's swing and like, if he's screwing around or something like that, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, you just got to get squam down here." And then like, through impact, you just get scooshy. And then like from there, you just get centrifugal, and then you get pterodactyl sauce. And you're just like sitting there like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I'm paying you for this?
Yeah, you're like, and then yeah. So the first lesson I had, like he just used a bunch of those words, and my parents were all like, "Oh, how was your first lesson?" And I'm like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I need Rosetta Stone Gankas.
That's perfect.
Seriously.
Yeah, I have no idea what I just learned.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to get used to all the vernacular and stuff? Till you're like, "Oh yeah, I just gotta get Squamdow right here."
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm still hearing new things every single day. He's the best at just using like acronyms and stuff, like EMBH and
What's that?
Or
is that
EMBH is
whatever you want it to be?
If you know, you
yeah,
know.
Okay,
yeah. If you know,
yeah. The real ones know.
Yeah, it's one of those things that most people do know, but George says it a couple times.
Can you tell me more about like Westlake Golf Course? It gets so much pub, so many great players and teachers have kind of gotten their start there. What is it so special about this place?
I think it's just like it just keeps everyone humble. And to be honest, I mean, you have to pay for your own your golf balls. Like, you hit off mats. The range is like, it's all right. It's a good range, but like, and it's just, I don't know. Like, it's just a place where like you don't go and you're not looking for those guys that I've like been giving it. I don't warm up with Titleist Pro V1s. Like, and it just kind of teaches you like to be thankful for like what you have. And it's a really good area. I don't know if I could say much about like the people the people and the coaches and the players that come out of there. I just think that there's been a lot of talent that has come out of there. But yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is like I used to go there every single day after school and hit like 4 or 5 buckets of balls because like that's all I do. I just get done with school. I go to the course, and then I literally hit 4 or 5 buckets, and it was, you're hitting, like I said, you're hitting off mats. You're not,
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a top or, state of the art chipping green, or like you're using, the range balls with the 2 stripes on it.
Well, that's because you kept hitting them into the highway.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They got the good ones in the highway.
Yeah, now they have like limited flight golf balls. Like my driver goes like literally straight up and straight down.
See, I feel like you should have to play with one of those when me and you play, so therefore it's a little more competitive.
Yeah.
You'll be back there where I am.
Next time we play, we get to pick your ball.
Yes.
One of those floaters from the range.
Like the Bellata or something like that?
Yeah, one that floats in the water. Maximum distance.
We'll still lose.
Did you have the distance the whole time? Is that something you just showed up with when you showed up on Gankas' doorstep, or has he kind of like progressed you to hitting it as far as you hit it now?
I think I've always had speed. The things that he works on definitely increase your speed, but it's not like, he's like, I'd give him credit for like all the power that I have. I mean, I use my legs really well. Got some freaking tree
Yeah, you
trunks.
have some
like sleazes, but
yeah,
yeah.
they look similar. We were the same. We wear the same size.
It's kind of
gear.
weird that you're looking at my legs. But, okay, but yeah, I mean, I've had speed before I went to him, but he definitely like controlled it and helped me, control my ball flight and create more speed by rotation and like using the ground and using my legs. And I definitely say there are a lot of things that he teaches that I naturally did, but there's also a lot of things that he has coached me to do and to like, become the player that I am. So it's definitely
it's working.
I'd say our teamwork is pretty good there.
It's working.
Yeah, it's awesome. He just seems so much fun to work with. But I talked to him earlier this morning about some stuff, obviously involving you, and he told me you use a lot of like negative stuff on social media, kind of as motivation. So how much do you look at social media, and are you aware of what people say, good and bad?
I honestly am more. I think the bad means more to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I see someone being like, "Oh, this guy's swing is yada yada yada," even though I know they don't know anything,
Mm-hmm.
like it's still, you never want to hear that.
Mhm.
That'd be like someone coming up to you and be like, "Dude, your podcast sucks."
But it's so funny, like even for me, like I'll look at Twitter and like there'll be 9 positive comments,
Yeah.
and then that one negative one, that's the guy you want to go
Exactly.
at. Like you don't really say thank you to all the other ones,
No.
but you go at that guy.
Exactly. Yeah, the ones that are like, "Oh, this kid's gonna be something great. He's gonna win majors." Like I look at that and I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
that's
I agree.
awesome." But then you see a guy that's like, "Oh yeah, like nice finish last week." It's like
Yeah.
I could have 2 second place finishes in a row and then finish like 70th, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like
You ruined my
yeah,
fantasy team,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go get
All
over
that stuff.
yourself.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then you want to go back at him like, what do you know?
Yeah.
but then
But then
get
it just
boxed
starts
in a
chaos.
no-win situation.
Yeah, it's-
exactly.
It's not a good path to go down. But yeah, I mean, I definitely use some of that motivation because there's a lot of people out there. I have a pretty different swing, and I go about things different ways. I was on the phone with my buddy 5 minutes before the tee time, the final round of the U.S. Open, and I had a lot of people criticize me for that, and I'm just like, y'all take it way too damn seriously.
Yeah, I'm not playing yet.
Yeah, like it's, I don't know, like we were talking about football, we were talking about fantasy, and we were just, I feel like honestly it even helped me because it just took my mind off of the moment, and I feel like there's a difference between like being like locked in and being like, this means way too much.
Yeah.
Because there's guys like Tiger who like you couldn't even talk to Tiger probably before. I don't know Tiger, but like it seems like before the final round of a major, it's like if you go up to Tiger, like you don't go up to Tiger. Like he's so in the zone, it's ridiculous. And for me, like I'm not like that. I'm more, I like to just soak everything in, take the experience, and just take it for what it is. I think I'm pretty blessed to be on the PGA Tour at such a young age, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna go get that win tomorrow," and it's like, you know what? Yeah, like I feel like I could, but at the same time, I'm gonna be out here for a long time. I'm sure it's gonna come my way eventually.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But I feel like a lot of people compare you to Rickie Fowler because I mean, obviously, California kids go to Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
Rickie's goes at it a little different. What's your relationship like with Rickie?
Rickie's awesome. He's been probably one of the best mentors that I could ask for. He keeps everything super light. He gives me advice. I moved down to Florida as soon as I was done with school, and he kind of took me under his wing. Obviously, it's still a little different. He's married, and they're doing their own thing, and I'm 10 years younger, so it's it's kind of hard to be able to like be like, hey, you want to come over and drink some beers and watch the football game? Especially when I had to ask him to pick up the beers because I couldn't drink.
We were just in the car with him talking about this exact same thing. Like, dude, the guy's 21. You forget how young he is. Like, he's out here. Everybody else got kids, married, doing their own thing, and he's like, if he wants to come over and drink beer and watch football, like, tell me when.
Call me.
I'm ready.
I'd love to do that.
It's like I do that all day, every day.
All right, well maybe
so
I
that's
need
on the table.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I should start hitting him up, but no, he like I said, he's been great. We actually haven't flown private together yet, even though when I first turned pro, I was, as a new guy out here, I was like, Rickie, it'd be really nice if you, let me hop on and stuff. He goes, maybe I'll give you a free ride. And then I won, and then he was like, yeah, I'm not. You're paying. You're paying.
See, before that, though, this is what you got to do. As a veteran, I'll tell you, you got to get a lot of dirt on these guys that have private planes.
Yeah.
So, therefore, they have to give you a ride. You're like, hey, you want to give me a ride? You want me to tell some stuff?
I got Twitter, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this can be out there quick.
Yep.
This can be out there quick.
I rode with Gary Woodland all over the place when I was playing. I wasn't paying $1. It was great. Gary knows.
Did he have anything to do with you going to OSU? Like, was he the guy you looked up to? Like, I want to kind of not follow in his footsteps, but like I saw what he did and the success he had. I want to follow that path.
That's definitely a factor why I went there. The coach was really good at Oklahoma State. Obviously, Karsten Creek is, having your own facility is pretty special. But yeah, I'd say he was definitely a big part just because, I looked up to him. I think him and Rory were kind of the two guys that I looked up to. And obviously, Rory didn't go to college, but I always looked up to Tiger. But Tiger was like kind of when I really got into golf when I was like, 13, 14, 15 and started playing in these bigger events and like really being like, all right, I could like do something with this game. Like that's when Tiger was like not playing and stuff. So when I really got into it, that's when like Rickie and Rory were out, being the best players in the world. And so I was like, I kind of want to be like that guy. And like he kind of inspired me. And I saw a bunch of, how many people have been to Oklahoma State and how many people have made it successfully through that program and been on the PGA Tour. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, but damn sure give myself a good chance.
Yeah, well, you did make it.
Yeah, now you're one of them.
Yeah, you were the, can't miss kid. I mean, you were the next big star coming out. I mean, obviously that's a lot of pressure to play with, but you go out and you win in your third PGA Tour start. Were you kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe this is all happening so fast?
Absolutely, yeah. I told myself, in the interviews to just kind of, make myself look like I was like, I was supposed to happen. Yeah. Every single interview I was like, I wasn't going to go pro before I felt like I could win. And that was a true statement. I didn't turn pro because of the money, because if I felt like I got a bunch of money, but I knew my game wasn't ready, then I was like, what's the point of being out here? But as soon as I turned pro, I knew that I could go out there and make it. And then when it happened, even though I knew I could do it, like to have it happen that quickly was almost like a damn.
Yeah, because so many guys get out there like early on and feel like the one thing they reference, like, I know I'm good enough, but I'm maybe not playing like that because it's tough to feel like I belong or to get comfortable out there. Did you feel that, or like was that something you felt? I mean, you did it in your third start, so
absolutely. But I mean, it's still hard to get used to it. I mean, I know when I was at the top of my game, and to be honest, at 3M, like I played really well, but I definitely, I felt like you always feel like you leave a couple shots out there or anything, but to be honest, like even after 3M, like I didn't really play that well, like right after 3M. And, like you said, the getting comfortable out there, like, just feeling like you belong out here, even though I won and I knew I belonged, it was still like most people think as soon as you win, you're like, oh, like you're good. Like you're a veteran out here now, but it's like, that's not how it works. Yeah. Like, it's like, even if you win or even if you have these, there's been people out there for, I don't know, 15, 20 years that have never won a PGA. They've kept their card. But it's just like it takes a while to get used to everything, to get used to the travel and the scheduling and like the pro-ams and I mean all that stuff. And like I said, obviously I'm fortunate that it's happening, but it's I feel like up until recently I still haven't felt like extremely comfortable because I mean the biggest thing is I haven't even seen all those courses.
Yeah, like, you haven't even played every tournament yet.
Yeah. Like I haven't seen Quail Hollow. I mean that's the main one I can think of right now. I'm sure there's a lot more.
That's a good one. Go play that one.
Yeah.
Some nice viewing there.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nice viewing.
The social aspect is nice.
Oh,
there.
Is it?
That's what I'm told. Never been.
Okay.
Yeah,
looks like it on TV
enjoy
though.
It. I gotta ask you this, because I feel like for me, like I know personally, like I hated practice rounds, unless I had a money game.
Yeah.
Tuesdays. Are you and like the other young kids? Are you a big money game guy, or are you just kind of Tuesdays your day to see the course, you work and you do all your work?
Dude, honestly, I love money games. I love money games. I feel like no one else really does. Like I know. Well, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna text Phil and be like, "Hey, want to go play a money game?" He's gonna be like, "Yeah, let's go for $5,000." I'm like, "Okay, well, let's go for
relax."
Yeah, I'd go for 500, but not even at $5,000. Not yet, you know.
You will.
Oh yeah, I mean, eventually, I'm sure I will. But that's the thing is just like, you know, I don't feel like there's a lot of guys that I could go out and be like, "Hey, let's go have a game out here." And I feel like that would honestly, because I always like playing for some. I notice when I go out and play for nothing, like I just. I play so bad.
Is that how you are on the off weeks too? Like you come home, you got a week off. You're like, you're not a sit on the range, hit a bunch of balls guy. You're go out and gamble with your buddies guy.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Unless I'm like really like if I'm trying to work on something in my swing, then I'll hit more balls. But yeah, I'm definitely a guy that. I mean, there's been plenty of off weeks that I've been like, you know, sitting there and like I'll play great. I'll top 10 the week before, top 15, top 20, whatever. I'll play well, and I'll go home. I'll have a week off. I'll be like, oh sweet, I'll take Monday off. You know, hit some balls on Tuesday, maybe go play 9, and I'll shoot like 4 over on the 9 that I play. And I'm like, did my game just totally go to shit in 2 days? Yeah. Like, and then I'll go out the next day and I'll like, okay, I was missing it left, so like let's work on, you know, not missing it left. And then I'll be like, all right, I'm hitting it better. And then I'll go play 18 and I'll shoot like 1 over, and I'll be like, gosh, my game really. I don't know where it went. Like,
I don't know where it went.
I'll be like, and then I'll have a big tournament coming up, and I'll be like, and then, you know, the last 3-4 days of my week off, I'll be stressing about, you know, I need to, you know, get this right. And then in golf, you know, even though everyone says it's a marathon, not a sprint, I mean, things can change, good and bad. I mean, at the snap, you see how many times it happens. People shoot 78 one round, and then they come back and shoot 63, and you're like, oh, sweet, they made the cut.
Why didn't I just do that the first day? I mean, that was stupid.
Exactly.
But you mentioned Phil earlier. He's obviously a legendary trash talker. How would you rate your trash talking skills?
Honestly, I think I'm pretty good. I'd give myself a 7.3.
Hey, 7.3. You got to believe in yourself.
That's the exact number. And you're in a zip code here where you got a lot of guys you can have a lot of big names that you have the opportunity with.
Well, I felt like my comment. Did you hear my comment with DJ about the Seminole, like the TaylorMade for COVID,
Which one?
The COVID relief? I was in the right on Seminole. I was in the right sand on 3, and like everything there is a waste bunker. Mm-hmm. And like I hit it in the right stuff, and I ended up making like double on the hole, so I really shouldn't have said anything. But I was in the right bunker or the right waste bunker. DJ was in the fairway, and I like call over and like I have a really bad lie. I was like, "Hey Dustin, can I ground my club in this?"
Yeah,
and then I go, "Oh wait, wrong guy. I probably shouldn't ask you."
Yeah. Well played.
And
I like that.
It's just little things like that. And I know Dustin, so I know I can say that. But it's hard sometimes. Like I feel like I'm a pretty good trash talker for not have having that much like going on before. Like, you know, it's easy for Rory or Rickie or Phil or anyone to be a good trash talker because they're like, oh yeah, I've made $500 million on the course, and you know I have my own jet. It's like. But it's like for me, it's like I didn't really have like I'd be like, yeah, I won the 3M, and then Rory could be like, yeah, I won the U.S. Open, and it's just like for me, it's
get
hard.
Get creative, guys. Come on, get creative.
But that's what I mean. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty creative with my trash talking.
That's
you know?
good.
Yes.
I love that.
I'll blow it by Rory by 20 yards, and he'll be like, oh well, you haven't won a FedEx Cup, and I'm like, oh, congratulations, buddy. Like we're not talking about the FedEx Cup. We're talking about right now.
See, that's why you don't even like talk to Tiger because he can just trump everyone.
Yeah, there's nothing you can say to Tiger.
Yeah, you gotta get creative. But let's talk a little bit about the U.S. Open this year. You took a 2-shot lead into the final round at Winged Foot. At any point during that day, did you ever get ahead of yourself a little bit and think, you know, I'm going to win the U.S. Open?
I honestly felt like I got more ahead of myself before it started than when I was playing. Because when I was playing, Bryson started off pretty strong, and, you know, he was only 2 back of me. Yeah. It wasn't like I had a 5-shot lead.
That can change in 1 hole.
Yeah. And so I felt like it was definitely a lot different. But, yeah, I think, like, before the round, I was almost like, oh, like, shit, like,
yeah.
I could win the U.S. Open right here. Like, I could become a major champion. And then, you know, I kind of settled down a little bit. And then once the round got started, which is usually what happens. Usually I'd start off and I'm a little nervous on the first couple holes. And then, you know, as it goes, I'm like, all right, I'm more comfortable now. I'm more comfortable. And, you know, that's one thing I learned at the U.S. Open was that it's such a long week. Like, every day I got done with golf and I was like, I'm going straight to bed. Like, I had no juice left in me. And I think that was, like, the biggest thing about that week was that final day, even though I know I lost by 5 or 6 or something like that, I knew that like until like 2 or 3 holes left, I was like, I could be in this.
Yeah.
Like because like I said, he played really well at the end and he made a lot of putts and Bryson obviously he won, but I knew that like with, I think I stepped up on 14 or 13 or 15 or one of those holes, and I was like 4 back or 3 back. And I was like, that seems like a lot. But in the U.S. Open, it's like he hits it in the rough and then, chops it out in the fairway, and I make a birdie. That's a 2-3 shot swing right there.
Course.
And so, especially with the closing holes at Winged Foot,
Yeah.
those closing holes are pretty challenging.
What's your biggest takeaway after the last 2 majors, top 5 in the last 2? What's your biggest takeaway after being in those experiences, being in contention? What do you take away now going into other majors when you get back in that same position?
I think the biggest thing for me is just the experience being like close to the lead and finishing out and stuff. I noticed that even though I didn't win at Shriners, that like right after the U.S. Open, that week at Shriners was like, I don't know. It's just like I like stepped up on that final tee, the final day, like having played, coming off of 61, and I'm just like, I'm 2 shots off the lead, but like, why do I not even feel anything? And it's not that I didn't feel anything. Like I definitely, but it was more of like I'm nervous because I'm like anxious and want to see how I play, rather than like I'm thinking about winning the tournament. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like there weren't thoughts of going on my head like, oh, if I screw up on this hole, like then I'll be out for the tournament. It was more just pressure that you always put on yourself to play well.
And it's not because like, oh, I haven't been here, I don't know what it feels. It's more like you're excited more than like nervous, I guess, almost.
Do you think the nerves? Can you compare the nerves with fans versus without fans? Like, do you think at the U.S. Open you might have been even more nervous if there was a ton of people around the first tee? Or does that stuff not affect you?
Honestly, I really don't think it affects me. I mean, it's.
Would you prefer it because you won at the 3M with fans, and now you're in, you're in the last group of the U.S. Open without
so
them?
many people ask me about that too. So many people are like, "Oh, well, it seems like you played good since the COVID restart, and like there's no fans. Do you think that helps you?"
That's
and I'm
Twitter
like,
people. Don't listen to those.
Yeah,
people.
I know, and I'm just like, well, I won with fans, so like I said, I don't think the fans have anything to do with how I play. I think, honestly, you feed off of them. Yeah. Like you feed off of them. Like you hear a Wolff howl or you make a birdie and everyone goes crazy. It's like you feel, you're like, oh, my adrenaline's up. Like I feel like I can, keep on going and like I got the momentum and all that stuff. Whereas like when there's no fans, it's kind of hard to get that momentum. But
what about the nerves from like winning at the 3M versus a major, the U.S. Open, where you're trying to win? Can you explain the difference in the nerves you felt at the 3M versus Winged Foot? Is it different?
It was different, but the reason why it was different is because, like, the 3M, I know it's not, like, the biggest tournament on the PGA Tour schedule, but that was, like, the jump start of my career, And, like, that's a lot different. Like, I understand, like, being a major champion is, like, obviously, like, people can only dream of that, and there's very few people who can be classified as a major champion, but, like, in my opinion, like, I was more nervous on that coming down the stretch at 3M rather than I was at the U.S. Open. Because I'm like, I've proven that I can win. At the U.S. Open, I'm in the final group, and I finished second in the U.S. Open. Like, I'm sorry what anyone says. Like, if anyone tells me that it's a fluke, like, it's the U.S. Open.
Yes. Yeah,
like, I'm sorry. Like, look at the past champions of the U.S. Open.
You still get all the stuff, and it's still,
exactly.
You're always going to be a U.S. Open champion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when people say, like, oh, like, he, missed too many fairways or all this stuff, it's like, well, I mean, there's just too much stuff to go into that for someone out there randomly to just be like, oh yeah, like that was a fluke.
Yeah, well, ignore those people.
Yeah,
ignore all those people.
You're doing big things, and it's going to continue. And we could talk to you all day, but we got to get to our emergency 9. Unless Sleaze, you got anything else?
I was going to fire one. I want to ask this because I feel like this is interesting. You, Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, always in the media are getting compared against one another. You guys ever just sit around and like at lunch and be like, God damn, they're doing it again. They're comparing us. Everything we do, I hear what you did and what you did. Like, are you guys aware of that going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all aware of it. I think that we're all kind of happy for each other. I mean, even though we all want to beat each other really bad, I think we're all like friendly competitors. Like we all, obviously, I want to beat Victor every single day in the week and I want to beat Colin every single day of the week, but I think we all kind of feed off of each other. I think it only like fires us up. When I see, Victor go out and have like, I think right after the restart, he had a pretty good run. He had, a bunch of top 10s in a row, and people were talking about like, oh, he's playing really well. He's super consistent. And then Colin obviously going off and winning Workday, and then the PGA. And then like, even though like it's frustrating seeing that because I'm like, gosh, like I beat up on them. They beat up on me. I should be doing the things that they're doing. Like it all comes full circle because then I, second place, U.S. Open and then Shriners and give myself 2 chances to win. And then, Victor doesn't start playing, or Victor stops playing so well. So it's just like, I think if anything, it's not so much of like I hate being compared to him. It's more like it fires me up because I'm like, all right, like look, like they're doing this. Like let me go top that now.
All right, let's get into this emergency 9.
Let's
That's
fire.
some great stuff. We can talk all day. All right, number 1, we asked this to everybody. Movie about the life of Matthew Wolff. You can pick any actor to play you. Who's it going to be?
Ryan Reynolds.
Wow.
Quick,
Maybe think
bam.
about it for a second.
Well, I've gotten that question quite a few times, and like there's nothing wrong with it, but like
No, it's a great answer.
He's an unbelievably attractive guy.
Who would you have? Did you just say he's an unbelievably attractive
Unbelievably
guy?
attractive guy.
Listen, I got to be honest. He's the only guy I know as good looking as I am. That's why.
No, I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds is great. Now that I think about it, I didn't really have one. I kind of was thinking Mark Wahlberg a little bit.
Well, I just think Ryan would be great because he's serious enough to where like the serious scenes are like the, small dips in my life. Like he could be serious, but he has a great sense of humor. I wouldn't say I'm as funny as Ryan Reynolds, but like he kind of has that,
5 minutes? 2 minutes?
All right, we'll keep it moving. All right, next question. I had you for Jake Gyllenhaal, by the way.
We're gonna have like an emergency 3.
I feel like that. Yeah, all right.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you one. Would you rather go on a 6-hour road trip with Victor Hovland listening to his heavy metal or get kicked in the face by a mule?
Yeah, kicked in the face.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I thought of that.
Yeah,
That's a longer delay
His
than I thought.
music is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever.
Oh yeah.
For those who don't know, I mean, it's just the darkest, heaviest metal. I mean, it's just.
Well, I think it'd actually be fine because if I sit in the car long enough and turn the volume up, my eardrums will burst and I won't be able to hear anything anyway. So.
Yeah. It's like the
it's-
music they
it's like
put like
screamo.
prisoners of war and
Oh,
torture
yeah.
them with until they break and be like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll tell you everything.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll sneak 2 more in here real quick. You're on Team TaylorMade, with
Yes.
the likes of Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day. At those commercial shoots, who's the one that holds court at those events?
Tiger.
Really?
Yeah. Tiger.
That's,
I think Rory's pretty like up there too,
Yeah.
but
That surprised me, actually.
why? Who are you thinking?
I just didn't think Tiger would be that social about it and
he's
stuff.
like the granddad lets the
He's
kids
pretty
play.
good.
I kinda thought you would, honestly.
He's pretty good actually. Well, I mean they have all the thing. They all have all the stuff set up anyways. But I mean, if Tiger talks, everyone listens.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, last one, Sleaze.
All right, last one. Out of all the people you've seen imitate your swing, who does it the best?
I'd say George, my coach.
Oh, yeah? He can do it?
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at it. And, like, it's just there's a lot of people. I think Rickie does it actually pretty well. Rickie does
Yeah, I
it
saw
very
his
well.
on social media somewhere.
Yeah.
It's
When he was
pretty good.
behind you that day, they got that on film. He was doing it. That was great.
That was in Palm Springs.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But the hard part is that, like, most people, when they try to replicate the swing, they kind of just, like, take it, like, straight this way instead of taking it back this way with the shaft like that.
Yeah.
Most of them take it with the shaft like that. They just go, like,
Yeah,
it's like,
gotcha.
I don't know. It's just like a loop. It's weird.
It's an art, dude. And
It
you got
is.
people hip thrusting all over America right now trying to be like you. So good on
I don't
you
want
for
to think
that.
of that, but yeah, that's fine.
Well, dude, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us. This has been an absolute blast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Cole.
Appreciate
It's
you,
been,
Matt.
it's been
Thank you.
fun.
And that was Matthew Wolff coming to you from Old Palm Golf Club down in beautiful Florida. Sleaze, I had an absolute blast with this kid, playing golf with him, getting to know like another side of him that I normally only see him on TV. He was so much fun. He's got a huge personality.
Oh yeah, I think playing golf with him earlier that day kind of loosened him up. Like, hey, we ain't here to solve the world's problems. We just want to sit down and have a fun golf talk with you. And I think that really showed during the interview. I think we could have gone for 2 hours with Matthew Wolff, and he would have been all in for it. Unfortunately, he had some other obligations that day, so the E9 turned into E3 or 4, whatever it turned into. The man's got a lot going on, but cool to sit down and talk with him and just kind of get his perspective on everything. Rickie Fowler, kind of looking up to him, and
that's
the
what I was gonna say,
comparisons
yeah.
with those guys we mentioned that he came out with.
Yeah, it was cool to hear him say like that Rickie and Rory were his idols, because you forget he's 21 years old, and for all of us it's Tiger and only Tiger. But him coming out, I mean, it was all Rickie Fowler, Rory McIlroy. These were the guys he looked up to, and it's cool to see that Rickie kind of took him under his wing, helped him out. We were sitting at Justin Thomas's house Saturday night, and the deal was we were only going to get like 20 minutes with him. Rickie calls Matthew, and he goes, "Hey, give these guys longer than 20 minutes." And Matthew's like, "Okay, cool, you got it, no problem."
Yeah,
Sure.
done. Okay, what else? Anything else? You want me to go get you a pizza?
But it was great. But I tell you what, man, the kid's got some big time game. I loved playing golf with him. First off, he plays fast, he plays hard, he's a go-getter, and he's one of those guys that it's going to be kind of like all or nothing, I feel like. It's either I'm going to contend Or if I don't, you know what? This week sucked. Let's go on to the next one.
Yeah, he's been kind of like that starting off, and then you start to see it tighten up just a little bit. I said earlier in the show that he's played 2 majors and 2 top 5s. He's obviously now played 3 with Augusta National, but a lot of success for a guy that's just starting. And when we were playing golf during the day, I was just, we were just bullshitting, talking around. I was like, hey, man, who do you like to hang out with? Who's the guys you hang out with on tour, when you're traveling and things like that? And he's like, man, there's just not a lot of guys like that are my age that want to do the things I want to do. I want to drink beer and watch football on the weekends. Most guys are married or have kids and they're traveling with their families. It's like there's not a lot of guys out here in the same place that I am. And you forget after you see what he's done in the world of golf that he's 21, dude. He should be sitting around in, most kids are sitting around in their dorm room watching football, playing beer pong or whatever, and he's out here contending in major championships. It's easy to forget how young he is sometimes.
If you are pro, you're out struggling on the Jickeys or on another tour somewhere. You're not 21 competing for majors and flying around private.
No, changing clubs for $5,000, doing the normal stuff.
Matthew Wolff will not be changing clubs for $5,000.
It might take a slightly more than $5,000 to get Matthew Wolff out of TaylorMade right now. Just word to all you reps out there that are listening.
Awesome. It was a lot of fun. Can't thank him enough for sitting down with us. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Next week, our guy, Derek Anderson, live and in studio.
This guy, one of the best. You've probably seen him on Twitter. He's not afraid to get amongst it at all. We got some great stories from playing with him and just being around him all the time. And he's got some incredible football stories and golf as well. So it's going to be a blast.
Loves golf.
Blast. Nobody loves golf more than DA. Unquestionable. And we'll get into that next week.
I cannot wait. That's going to do it for us. We'll talk to you on next week's Golf Subpar.